AM 560. The Answer.
The House Oversight Committee just released a nearly 100-page report saying executive actions signed by Joe Biden's Autopin are null and void. The report, titled The Biden Autopin Presidency, Decline, Delusion, and Deception in the White House, details how Biden's inner circle orchestrated a deliberate cover-up of his cognitive and physical decline and allowed unelected aides to have presidential power.
So we added somebody on YouTube because we're back on YouTube. And some wonderful listener said, you should promote YouTube more. I have to tell you, the reason I don't promote it, we're on Rumble as well. And if you want to hear the podcast, Sean Thompson Show, among other places. First of all, I'm terrible at all that. But the main thing about Google that I will never forgive, and I was the biggest advocate for Google, for these internet Silicon Valley guys, because they were cowboys of capitalism, and I loved it back in the 90s. I was their biggest advocate. But what they did to cover up Joe Biden's, not just dementia, but treason, Hunter Biden's treason, and what they did during COVID when it comes to Google, because that's who owns YouTube. I don't even like saying it. I go on it a lot, too. I use it. But to me, they're scrubbing it as we speak. They've scrubbed so much of the waste, fraud, and abuse that we have for decades. But that's why I don't promote it. So I appreciate everybody out there who says, "Oh, why don't you?" And I have relatives who are they don't know how to work Rumble, so they still look at YouTube. That's fine. I'm glad we're back on. But to me, I feel about Google the same way Ted Cruz does.
At the time, Senator, our trust and safety teams, when looking at content on YouTube that claimed there was widespread fraud, after the states had certified the validity of the election, we believed it was appropriate to take action against that content.
So is it Google's position that once an election is certified that there can never have been fraud in that election?
Senator, again, those decisions are made.
And that's the question. You just said once the election's certified, no one can say anything about fraud. Is that your position?
No, Senator.
There's a whole body of election fraud litigation, and candidates in both parties challenge elections all the time, raise claims of fraud. They're litigated often after an election is certified.
Senator, at that time, after the election had been certified, in context,
you worked with the Democrat mafia. You worked with the Obama mafia to cover up the most obvious election theft this country has ever seen. It's even bigger than 1960 with the how you doing scumbags that stole it for JFK. It's even bigger. And like you, and everybody listening to this show right now knew on election night 2020 that Joe Biden had stolen the election. 81 million people did not vote for Joe Biden. They didn't exist. They were fake. They were made up, which is why they stopped the count. I was doing coverage, and I will forever be indebted to the great Bruce Dumont, who allowed me to do that night coverage. They shut down the count for 4 hours. It was obvious from that moment they were going to steal it, and they were going to implement the powers of fascism that bankrupted our country. So to me, Google can kiss my firm ass. Bill Hinsdale.
Shawnee, how you doing, bud? I've been listening to Fox News for the past 10 years saying bombshell, bombshell, bombshell news, on these Democrat pieces of you-know-what. When is it? I feel like it's going to turn, but when are we going to have a backbone as a conservative to stick it right where to these people? Because you know what? It's like listening to Ted Cruz. Okay, go to Capitol Hill, testify, and then no one cares in 3 days. What you
Bill,
just said.
But this is the infrastructure that you and I have been dealing with our whole lives. You and I have known what the Chicago Democrat Mafia was, always. You and I have known it, right? So you're asking why is it not changing? I played you the judge in Arizona. You see the judge in Chicago that's messing with Bavino. You see the insulated mafia where they give them the face of legit. Oh, put this robe on and nobody will know you're our asset, even when the drunk pig gets caught peeing, right? So this is, listen, you know what you're talking about. The government, 90% of all bureaucrats are Democrats, have been our whole lives. That's where, when we were kids, who went and worked at the government? Morons. Morons went and worked at the government. You couldn't get a frickin' job. You're too stupid. You had a cork on your fork at Thanksgiving. Go work for the government, idiot. And then Saul Alinsky and the rest of them came along, and they said, you know what? We could use these idiots because they'll hire anybody. They'll hire communists and socialists and mafia members. It's the perfect place to really take over the country from within. So they backdoor Sovietized our country. So now you're saying go to jail. Listen, they're look at the federal court system in Chicago, in Arizona, in California, New York, New Jersey, Philly, wherever these Democrat mafia members are. These are the families of the mafia, and they're protected from within. That's why when you see these judges, this federal judge, this dog with Bovino, she cultivated her career at the exact same time. Daley and Emanuel were running a complete organized crime syndicate posed as a government. She knew for years. Everybody knew. Madigan, Burke, Dick Mell. Everybody knew what they were. So you're asking how come nobody goes to jail? What are you, nuts? It's for the same reason Mickey Cohen had a cook and a chef and a hooker in prison. Because it's that high up.
But if one person you'd like to see go out of everything you know in the past 30 years of politics, who would you want to go? Who would you want to see go? That
is an excellent question. Who would I want to see go? I have to give this some thought.
Just one, Sean. You just get one person.
Well, your knee-jerk reaction, right, is Obama. Your knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. But then you realize Obama's just a closeted pansy. Obama's not. I want the guy who cleared the way for Obama. So that's somebody not elected. I want whoever is running the Rockefeller Foundation, whoever is running the Tides Foundation. You know, the knee-jerk reaction is Soros. He's 1,000 years old. That son of a gun. The best thing he could do is live another 50 years, sucking on a machine.
Why don't we take him out?
Why? I like watching him like this. I do. Whenever I used to get aggravated about Joe Biden, I figured he was locked in a closet on a changing table with his legs flaying and a binky in his mouth, calling for his mommy. I hope he lives another 50 years, that rat pig. So to me, the best thing you could do to scumbags is keep them alive and let them watch their legacy. Because what you and I are talking about, these are what these kids who are real victims of this corruption. These kids out there, these college kids, these high school kids, you think me and you are pissed off? You and I had the opportunity to make something out of ourselves. These kids are strapped forever. Right. And in these ghetto towns, these ghetto states, they're going to have to tax them to leave. They're going to really be the Soviet Union. And that's why I say right now, Bill, the movement should be, as far as I'm concerned. Now we don't want anything to do with you. Go ahead. Keep your money. Don't send it to the federal government. The deal's off. You can have the USSA. Yeah. We'll take the It's a big fracking country, Mo. And they can't pick their nose. They can't run a convenience store. What can they do? They're broke in 9 months, these bust-out scumbags, if we don't bail them out and allow them to keep monetizing debt. And that's why that Jerome Powell's a real scumbag today. Do you see what he did? I'll cut it a quarter, but not next month. We may. That Federal Reserve. That Federal Reserve. I think Trump should do the silverback currency just like Kennedy did. Print up his own money and circumvent all these scumbags. Now here, we'll do the real welfare. You want to be a welfare roach? You go with the Democrats. Thank you, Bill. 312-642-5600.
He believes in freedom, capitalism, and individual liberty. And because of that, he's become an enemy of the state. He's Sean Thompson, and this is The Sean Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.